You're sitting there. I was just talking about this with my friend that the whole, like, you seem to build a pretty solid sense of past for these guys. Like, you could just read into that guy that, he was sort of a TV hack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But everyone's familiar with that guy.
Yeah.
And you have a very sort of familiar, kind of uniquely American disposition.
Yeah.
That when you see the darker elements of this guy's character, and he doesn't even know it's coming out.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make conversation in an awkward situation. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But like, do you make certain choices about their life? You just have a couple of things to hang it on?
Yeah, and I think if someone asked me about them, a lot of actors, you say they'll write a whole biography.
Right.
I never did that, but if someone asked me about my character, what did he do 3 years ago, I could tell you.
Yeah.
Was he married? Yeah, he was married once, and then he got a divorce. It kind of fits into the background. You set yourself in the situation. I guess that's how you do it. And Christopher Guest will give you here's what you did. You did this, that. And you're up against this guy. And Bob Balaban is a perfect foil because he's so serious. And I remember him from Seinfeld, where he played the head of NBC.
Uh-huh.
And he scared me. And when in Waiting for Guffman, there was a scene where Catherine O'Hara and I had to come in the room and audition for the play.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Bob Balaban was going to be in the room. And he has that look on his face like, who the hell is this? So in I think it was Best in Show, I had to go up and interview him. So immediately I got a brash side to me.
Yeah.
He was Dr. So-and-so. Doctor, listen, I got a little pain in my upper up on the left-hand side. Is that bursitis? Is it cold? And he just looked at me and says, well, I'm not that kind of doctor. Now, he could have tried to top me.
Yeah.
He said, what have you been doing with you? But I said, no, I'm just kidding with you here. But he was so perfect. He's a perfect foil. Eugene Levy is that kind, too.
Good foil?
Oh, he's like, you could just take advantage. I said to him in the scene, you look like the kind of guy who spends a lot of time in the bathroom. But it just no, I wouldn't say that to Christopher Guest.
Yeah.
Said to Eugene Levy's character.
Right.
Not to Eugene, but to his character.
Yeah.
They're fun people to work with, and
it's so funny because Bob Balaban's been around since the late '60s too,
and he does everything. Man, you see movies, he produces. He's a terrific guy. Well, it comes from the Balaban, the RKO or whatever. Balaban,
it's a theater family, right?
Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
my dad, I didn't know what he did. Dad, he went away and came home at 5 o'clock in a tie and sat with his tie and jacket. And Dad, loosen your tie.
So in the big picture of things, like, after you got back from the Army, you made this choice. I mean, how'd your family react to that?
I could not. I didn't want to tell him I got a job. I had a stepfather.
Yeah.
And, you got to go into business. So I got a job in New York in an office.
Yeah.
But it was a kind of job where it was a credit company. You could go out on the street and go to different companies, get credit reports. So if there was ever an audition, I could get up and leave. But at night, we were doing this comedy act with my partner, and so it was really tough. I couldn't do it. Now you'd leave a club at midnight, and you'd get home at 1. You had to be up at 8 and be in work at 9. And my partner had lost his job, and I said, "Boy, you're lucky. You can sleep late." But he had a wife and kid, and it was tough. And I said, "You're lucky. I envy you." And I was making like $85 a week. But we finally auditioned for a company. Upstate New York. You heard about the Catskills.
Yeah.
This was not the Catskills. This was the Goy Catskills. It was more white bread.
Dinner theater-ish?
It was dinner theater. It was repertory.
Yeah.
And we auditioned. There was a first banana, a comic named Larry Wilde. I don't know. He wrote all these books about the Jewish joke book, the Polish joke book.
Yeah, sure, I remember those.
Yeah. Very, very funny man. Not that funny on stage. He was like Alan King, kind of that corny humor. But in person, he was the funniest guy. And he was the first banana, and they needed a second banana, so they hired my partner and I as second banana. Well, the good thing, we gave my partner a job. I got to quit my office job. I had to go home and tell my parents, I'm going to be in show business. And my stepfather, being very supportive, he says, there's a lot more unemployed actors than there are credit reporters. I know that.
Did you never get along with that guy?
No. I look back, he had a tough, your stepfather, your mother marries another guy. I didn't, and he didn't care for anything I did. And anyway, it's a long story. But he died, and I look back and I said, maybe he was not that bad a guy. He had a tough.
It was just a matter of their approval of it.
Yeah.
Your mom was okay?
She lived to be a good ripe age, 93.
She was she was able to see some of your success.
She saw some of my stuff, and she was amazed. She'd come out and see the house we live in, which is not that great. It's a nice house, but she had to take pictures and show her friends, and she was great. She didn't quite get. I mean, she had a pretty good sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know, she from Cleveland. You have a good sense of humor in Cleveland, even though she was the least funny of all her brothers and sisters.
Well, you know, Jonathan Winters comes from Cleveland.
Dayton, just a little
right.
west. Yeah, there's that Ohio. Bob Hope.
Yeah.
Jack Riley. A lot of guys I've met out here. There's a Cleveland. Drew Carey, I think, is from Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland rocks. Have you spent time with Jonathan Winters?
A little bit. He's a little tough to be with. Yeah, a little. Yeah, how's this? About this hat? And if you're with him long enough, he'll come down and just be, you can get a conversation.
Yeah. I spent an hour talking to him.
For a half hour, he's characters, right?
Sure. Yeah. But you know, there's like as he gets older, I think that they're you know he's right in there, but he's got a hell of a memory.
I think so. He is in his 80s. And
he can you know like he can do his first radio bits. Do you remember ever hearing him on the radio? Because I think some of his first bits were on the radio in Cleveland.
The first I saw him, I was in a room, and there was a Colgate Comedy Hour or something. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Winters. And he came out, and he did a thing about a sword fight. I don't know if he's making up.
Yeah.
And he went, in the closing, he put the sword in the sheath.
Yeah.
But, like he stabbed himself. Yeah. Bam, Jonathan Winters. And they went to commercial, and the audience laughed. And then they died down. Then they started to laugh again. I'd never seen a response. And the laughter just built, and no one had ever seen anything like this. And he came along in that same wave. Shelley Berman, Bob Newhart, Lenny Bruce.
Did you ever get to see any of those guys?
I saw Shelley Berman many times in person. Mort Saul. I tried to see Lenny Bruce. I was at his famous Carnegie Hall concert.
And you couldn't wait.
Because
he didn't show up till midnight, I think, right?
Well, it was a midnight show.
Oh.
And it was a huge snowstorm.
Right.
And he came out, and you could hardly, I was like, hey, wouldn't it be wild if they didn't know we were in here? But then people from the balcony started to yell, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Where are you? Well, screw you. You should have got better seats. Yeah. So he was on a good long time, but it was very hard to hear him. Then I came out to L.A., and he was appearing in the Hollywood Canteen, which is a little place is no longer there. And they reviewed his show, and I said, I'll go down to see him. It was a small place. There he came in late, walked in with a raincoat, walked up on stage, talked about 10 minutes. He was mad about something. He said, well, I got to split. And I went, whoa, wait a minute. So we did another 10 minutes and split. So I never got to really see his act, but I got a bunch of CDs that I've...
That's interesting. So you saw him, and you couldn't hear him at the peak of his career, and then you saw him, and he was too fucked up to deal at the end of his career.
But there's a book of about 6 of his CDs, and he did some great...
Oh, yeah.
Half of it was just genius. The other half was just blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Who else? Bob Newhart. I've become a little bit friendly with him. I did his show. Sweet guy, just a real...
Oh, I'd love to talk to him. Nice guy, huh?
Yeah, just the sweetest...
Still works, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you work with younger guys, like you did something with Tim and Eric, right?
Yeah, I did. I never saw what I did. And I'd never heard of their show. And young people would come up to me and say, man, you were on Tim and Eric.
Yeah.
I said, yes, I was. Oh, great. So I called my agent. I said, if Tim and Eric ever call, tell them I'll be on their show because young people like it. And I did a second. I did not understand what I was doing. They piece it together. I was looking through a phone book for restaurants or doing something. And they said, we'll piece it. I said, but what's the point? We'll piece it together.
You never saw it?
I think I finally saw it. I remember something I was feeding people out of a pig trough.
So you just went along with it.
I went along with it, and I said, is this right? Is this what you want? But they're very popular. I haven't really got into that. But comedy has changed a lot. It became very open with Lenny Bruce and them. You can talk about more. Monty Python came along and opened up sketch material, all comedy material, because you could someone could stand up in the middle of a sketch and say, "Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong sketch."
Yeah.
I'd never seen that. Oh, can you do that? Yeah. Sorry, I'm in the wrong sketch. Saturday Night Live has done that.
Yeah.
And then comedy got very blue. And now it's got, which I love, if blue comedy, if it's funny, Dave Attell, I've got a CD.
Yeah.
Of Dave Attell that I listen to, and I won't let my wife listen to it because it's so graphic. But I'll listen to it every once in a while. He's
funny
and very dirty, and funny. But if it's dirty and funny, and then now comedy seems to be a lot of it. If dumb comedy, there's no joke. Well, that's the joke. There's no joke. And
does that bother you?
I feel so old. I said I'm not getting this.
Yeah.
sometimes on Saturday Night Live, I'll watch a sketch and say, where's the joke?
Yeah.
Other times they're so funny. They're so bright. I love Saturday Night Live. I never miss it. But we TiVo it. And I love their cast. They're just great. Fred Armisen. And,
sure, he's good, huh?
And I love it when he does... They do a sketch like the old a Halloween party, Vincent Price, and half the crowd doesn't know who the hell he's talking. But
Bill
Vincent
Hader was
Price,
in that.
Bill Hader.
Yeah,
I met him. I was on the Jimmy Fallon show with Bill Hader. And I met him. I said, "Jesus, you're so young. He looks like he's 14 years old, and he plays these great characters."
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, they're all funny. They're all great.
How often do you do your improv stuff?
It's
your
a sketch.
group?
We started doing it at a little theater on Fairfax called Bang.
Yeah.
And we got this group of people who write sketches, and we started doing these shows. We did them for about 6 months, once every month, every 2 months. Then Second City got in touch with us and said, why don't you do it at our theater? It's on Hollywood Boulevard. They have workshops there, and a very nice theater.
Yeah,
It's about
fun. You guys, every month you do a couple new sketches or what?
Good new sketches. It's just great. And so they come in with the new sketches, and we got some great people. And it started out, I would write most of the sketches. And now... I'll do maybe one sketch because everyone else is so funny.
And you'll act another one?
I'll do in a couple of... Yeah.
Well, it was great talking to you, Fred.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks for coming on. And,
it's a pleasure. My wife said, boy, I'm glad you're doing Marc's show. It's very hip. Everyone on the internet, everyone's talking about... Yeah. I said, well, this is great. I know Marc. And for some reason, I thought I'd done your show, but I might have done it by phone a year or so ago. Did you do some phoners?
I think we did. Maybe something for Air America. I don't know.
Yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah.
For a minute or two.
But
What's your latest project, Fred? Well, right now I'm in. Thank you so much. And now let's go to. We have Tom Cruise.
That was Fred Willard.
Fred Willard was that Fred?
And you're still sitting there going, "Did I do it?"
Was I?
Well, it's certainly great. I'm a big fan, and it was.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Rest in peace, Fred Willard. That was Fred Willard from 2012. Rest in peace, Lynn Shelton. Boomer lives!